democratic socialists.
We've run this experiment many times, and the results are always obvious. Here's capitalist South Korea at night from space. Here's socialist North Korea. So how do we decide who's right? Well, it turns out we don't really have to flip a coin. We have the evidence. In 2024, 13 Democrats won in districts Trump also won, all moderates. This isn't rocket science. All the left-leaning think tanks have done autopsies on 2024, and they all came up with the same message: move to the center.
Bill Maher has become the lone voice refusing to sip the Mandani Kool-Aid, calling him out relentlessly for what he sees as an aggressively hard-left worldview. With Zohran Mandani winning the New York mayoral race and gearing up to unleash a wave of daring policies, Maher insists the entire agenda could explode spectacularly in the Democrats' faces. And he's not whispering, he's blasting sirens. Buckle up, things are about to get volatile.
Democrats must recognize that Zohran Mamdani is the future of the party. Unfortunately, it's the Republican Party. Mandani seems like a nice guy, and I congratulate him on an extraordinary political achievement. But before the whole left side of the country catches socialism fever, let's listen to the other big winner in last Tuesday's election, Virginia Governor-elect Abigail Spanberger, who, before the 24 election, said things like, if the party didn't shift to the center, we will get torn apart. And we need to never use the word socialist or socialism ever again.
Maher opened fire by warning that putting Mandani in charge of New York might be the exact spark that hands the 2028 presidential election straight to the Republicans. In his view, Mandani isn't just left-leaning. He's a full-blown socialist pushing free grocery stores, defunding police, fare-free buses, and an endless list of government-funded programs. Maher argues that while these ideas electrify the hyper-progressive wing of the party, they're wildly out of sync with the nation as a whole. Millennials, older voters, moderates, most still recoil from anything labeled socialist. And from Maher's perspective, tying the Democratic Party to Mandani's vision is political self-sabotage waiting to happen. Instead of energizing voters, it risks driving away the very groups Democrats must hold together. In the long run, Maher believes this path is a powder keg ready to blow.
Well, she was right, but they didn't listen. Typical, am I right, lady? Well, at least the party has a clear choice here, very clear. One wing is saying don't ever use the word socialist again, and one is saying,
I am a democratic socialist.
Clear, huh?
And he's not wrong, but they refuse to listen. Classic, right? The divide couldn't be clearer. One faction of Democrats insists, don't ever use the word socialist again, while the other proudly declares, I am a democratic socialist. Mandani's fiery socialist push has electrified Gen Z, who are treating him like some breakout political hero. To them, his ideas are bold, disruptive, and perfect for a new era. But older Democrats want nothing to do with it. To them, socialism is political poison, something that has already burned the party before. And just like that, the Democrats are split down the middle. One wing wants a full-speed socialist revolution, while the other desperately tries to drag the party back to the center. Two visions, two realities. One party seconds away from tearing itself apart. Maher steps in with ice-cold realism, saying the party needs strategy based on what wins, not on ideological fantasies.
This isn't rocket science. All the left-leaning think tanks have done autopsies on 2024, and they all came up with the same message: move to the center. Even the New York Times, which did so much to promote woke politics, now says the partisans are wrong. Moving to the center is the way to win. And Democrats should recognize the party moved too far left on social issues after Obama left office. Gosh, if only someone had been saying that all along.
According to Maher, the Democrats' only real shot at survival is abandoning the fringe leftist dreams that have hijacked the party and steering hard back toward the center. He argues Democrats have wasted too much time chasing ideas that thrill online activists but repel the voters they need in real elections. Instead of chasing symbolic crusades and ideological stunts, Maher says the party must focus on issues that keep everyday Americans awake at night. Cost of living, safety, education, healthcare, economic stability. These are the concerns that matter to seniors, workers, parents, and moderates. In Maher's view, Democrats aren't short on solutions, they're short on discipline. They keep drifting into loud, unrealistic policies that don't match real-world priorities. And the sooner they drop that detour, he warns, the better their chances of staying politically alive.
Problem is, Gen Z thinks socialism's wired and capitalism's tired and billionaires are what's for dinner. And who can blame them? If you're 30 and still sharing a bathroom with roommates, capitalism isn't working for you. People will reject any economic system where there's strange hair on the soap.
I don't blame Gen Z for being drawn to these ideas. Many older voices never gave them a full, grounded picture to begin with. Instead of teaching a balanced understanding of history and geopolitics, they allowed waves of distorted narratives to shape how young people see the world. They've been fed retellings of American history that paint figures like Lincoln and Washington as pure villains rather than complex leaders who shaped the nation. So is it surprising that Gen Z embraces socialism with such intensity? Not even slightly. When truth blurs and history gets rewritten, unrealistic ideologies find the perfect soil to grow.
No one wants to be approaching middle age and still writing their name on food before they put it in the fridge. So they're quiet quitting capitalism and texting socialism that they're down to. Thing is, socialism will you. Because socialism, to put it simply, just doesn't work and has never worked. Like Kevin Federline.
Socialism has repeatedly stumbled whenever it's been tried, and critics warn New York could be heading toward the same turbulence. You don't need a political scientist to see the cracks forming. The promises are huge, the slogans thunderous, but the outcomes rarely match the hype. And now Mandani is actively trying to distance New York from federal funding, attempting to build a financial bubble he alone controls, a bubble that avoids accountability to Washington, especially under leaders like Donald Trump. Critics say this exposes a major weakness. If the system collapses the moment federal support disappears, how sustainable is it really? Instead of laying groundwork for a stronger city, Mandani seems intent on proving an ideological point, even if it pulls New York into political and economic chaos.
I know the kids think that stuff that happened before their appearance on the planet didn't really happen, but it did. We've run this experiment many times, and the results are always obvious. Here's capitalist South Korea at night from space. Here's socialist North Korea. In 1990, Venezuela was wealthier than Poland. But then Poland, finally free of Soviet-style economics, went all in on capitalism. And now their economy is as big as Japan. And people there have high wages, low inflation, cars, vacations, homes. Meanwhile, Venezuela traded capitalism for Hugo Chavez's socialism for the 21st century, which turned out to be like socialism in the last century, or any century, a mess.
And critics fear that's exactly where New York is headed. Instead of becoming a progressive showcase, the city could transform into a full-blown cautionary tale. Another example of why socialist-style experiments collapse under their own weight. If Mandani keeps pushing resource-draining programs, weakening public safety, and stretching the city's finances to the breaking point, New York could soon become Exhibit A in what not to do. And the fallout wouldn't stop there. A political brawl is already looming between Mandani and the governor. Two leaders battling for control, both claiming the moral high ground. That kind of power struggle could plunge the entire state into confusion, gridlock, and non-stop clashes. If this trajectory continues, New York may become the definitive example of socialism's most damaging consequences.
It seems to me that there are two pillars that this country is founded on. One is democracy, and one is capitalism, free markets. And it seems like one party wants to get rid of one, and the other party wants to get rid of the other. Right? The Republicans are not that, democracy is just not number one on their list. It just isn't. It isn't. It's behind Christianity and a few other things. And the Democrats, I mean, I read these, 74% are for democratic socialism. Only 16% favor capitalism. Is this going to be a country that I don't recognize in 5 to 10 years if we don't have these two pillars?
I don't agree with Bill Maher or Republicans on everything, especially their constant doom and gloom predictions about democracy. But on this point, Maher is absolutely right. The DNC is drifting further into full-blown socialism. And this isn't the first time he's tried to sound the alarm. Remember when he warned that Democrats would get crushed in last year's elections if they didn't drop the endless woke theatrics? He begged them to focus on real issues instead of performative activism. They brushed him off, and his prediction was dead on. The losses weren't small, they were brutal. Now Maher is raising another warning, this time about Mandani and the party's obsession with fringe ideology. And once again, Democratic leadership seems determined to ignore it, even if it sends the party straight off a cliff.
No, it's like an iconic shoe with our glasses.
Vaguely,
if Mandani wins, I'm gonna remake that video in New York.
Oh, that's funny.
Because that's how I'll feel.
What will you say if he gets into office and says, I'm now the mayor of New York. I don't want to talk about that anymore. I got elected because this city is not affordable. And then what if he, and of course everyone saying a lot of what he's proposing is impossible.
Yeah.
Which I would, if I was a betting person, I would bet on that opinion.
Yeah.
It's not really going to work to have grocery stores that are government run and free buses and freeze on housing rent.
I highly doubt Mandani will walk back any of his campaign promises. His entire political identity is built on them, and now he's locked into delivering, no matter how unrealistic or unworkable they may be. Backing down now would be a disaster. He knows if voters think he inflated impossible promises just to gain applause, he's finished. His brand depends on convincing people that his radical proposals aren't just slogans but can function in the real world. So instead of adjusting to reality, he's far more likely to double down, hoping confidence will hide the cracks. But that gamble could backfire fast. If voters realize they were sold empty dreams, Mandani's career won't just take a hit, it'll collapse.
Democratic socialism is like a dating profile. Things look great until you meet up in the real world. For example, Bernie Sanders, his big thing was always bringing single-payer health care to our country of 340 million. But when liberal, tie-dyed Vermont tried to do it for a population of 626,000, it collapsed like that poor in the Oval Office last week.
In the end, Democrats stand at a critical crossroads, and the choices they make now will shape their future for years. With Mandani pushing radical socialist policies, energizing Gen Z, and doubling down on controversial positions, the party risks both internal implosion and relentless external attacks. Bill Maher's warnings aren't random commentary. They're a sharp, realistic analysis of a party slipping away from the voters it needs most. From ideological fixation to strategic misfires, the warning signs are everywhere. A widening divide between radicals and moderates, grand promises with shaky foundations, and opponents ready to exploit every misstep. Democrats can either recalibrate, refocus on the issues Americans truly care about, and move back toward the center, or cling to fantasy politics and watch their influence erode. At this pace, the fallout could be devastating. And that wraps up today's video. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this.